Hi, Helena.
Hi, Adam.
And hi to all of our listeners. It is wonderful to have you back again. We have got a fantastic episode coming up today. But before we get to that, we like to kick off by introducing ourselves. Helena, tell us about yourself.
My name is Helena Dix. I'm an opera singer, a lover of high notes. I travel the globe and hang out on stages all around the world, and I've been doing it for quite some time now. I'm a dog lover, a foodie, and I love to laugh.
And my name is Adam Miller. I'm a former opera singer turned producer, writer, and director. And Helena, you and I have had the great pleasure of working together over a number of years in lots of different capacities, either as singers or as producer and singer. And we also studied at the Royal Academy of Music together. And today, we've got a very special guest with whom we have both worked in different capacities as well. Again, I've directed and produced shows that he has been in, and you've sung with him a number of times.
Absolutely, one of my favourites.
And of course, we're talking about Eddie Muliaumasealii. We've done our introductions about ourselves, so how about I introduce Eddie as well? Eddie started his career in New Zealand and has sung all over the world in concerts, musicals, and opera. I believe he has the record as the most travelled opera singer in Australia, given all of his amazing work with Opera Australia's Oz Opera Company. Eddie's roles include Zuniga, Sparo Fucile, Basilio. What else has he done? Well, he's also done the Marquis, the Doctor in La Traviata, Mazzetto, the Commendatore. If there's a role out there for a bass, Eddie has sung it. And if you think it might be interesting to hear what Eddie has to say about his fantastic career and also his ability to tackle numerous people, then listen on. Eddie, so fantastic to see you here. So exciting to have you.
I'm very excited to be here on my very first podcast.
We are taking away Eddie's podcast virginity. And can I just say, it was one of the funniest conversations I've ever had when I asked Eddie whether he'd be on the podcast, listening to he and Sarah talk about what a podcast actually was. Because he's like, oh, I don't know what a podcast is. She's like, he asked Sarah and she said, oh, it's a pod that casts. And then, then it was just the most hilarious discussion.
Sarah doesn't know. She kind of likes to think she knows, but then she starts explaining things. And then I go, you have no idea, do you?
Well, welcome to our pod that casts.
Does this change the power imbalance then between you now that you've been on a podcast?
Oh, we have this thing, right? Whereas, like, if someone's rambling on about something, like maybe it's Sarah, and I'll say to her, I have spoken, and she'll say, and the covenant is made. and then she says, I speak truth. And I say, and I bow to your words. And then we carry on calling each other all sorts of names.
So when people are wondering what it's like to live with one opera singer, it brings up a series of questions, but you've just given us a beautiful insight in what it's like to live with two opera singers. So it's clearly a very heightened environment.
Yeah, it is. It's on a serious note, there is time for practice. And when you're in one space, one person really gets to practice. The other one has to go find somewhere else to go.
Or one person just has to try to be louder than the other person. That's the battle.
How do you manage that? How do you judge the whole, I've got to practice, I've got to show, you've got to show? Because you've done shows together, is that right?
Oh, yeah. With three of us, actually. Actually, we've all sung together. This is so cool.
We have.
So the balance is I generally know where my voice is all the time. I kind of from time I wake up and know where the voice is going to be at. And I have a few markers that I need to work out, okay, do I really need to run this? So I don't really do as much practice as Sarah does.
Wait. Can I just ask, you said I pretty much get up and know that, that things are working. So There's this great story that I have. My language coach from the Met used to be the coach for Pavarotti, the Italian language coach for Pavarotti. He told me, he's like, yeah, Helena, Luciano, he used to get up in the morning and we'd do some work and he'd go, oh, and then he'd be like, yeah, today we sing, or he'd go, oh, No, today we eat pasta. And either way, it was a win-win. So now I have the beautiful visions of Eddie getting up in the morning, stretching and being like, oh.
And he knows where his voice is.
It's funny, until you asked me that, it was a really good question, because we really haven't sort of worked out a system verbally. I just kind of know where my voice is pretty much all the time. And then when I need to really go for it, it's because I think, I'm not quite right today, or, I might have something on or I've been coughing, or not enough sleep. And so I'll practice a lot more.
I love it.
That probably leads to my first question. Do you have any pre-performance rituals or techniques that help you prepare for a role or to sing on a particular night?
You mean like on a show day?
Yeah.
I think my prep for a show day is generally the day before.
Okay.
It's really it's my mindset for how I'm going to work my hours coming into show day, and then what I'm doing on the show day. There's a routine for me. It's like I'll have a massive breakfast on show day, and then nothing all day until after the show, where I'll have everything else. That's probably one of the rituals I have, is a big breakfast. But generally, on a show day for me starts the day before. So I'm kind of working out, I'm not going to be doing too much crazy things the day before, cutting down on talking with a lot of people, and just basically goofing off and being really chilled,
Is that why when we do a show together, when you say that you cut down from doing things, is that why you never answer my messages the day before we go? Dear Eddie, I miss you. Like nothing. I'm just joking. No, Eddie's the best person to be at a show with, because we always have great show chats and things. Like nowadays, Facebook Messenger or WhatsApp Messenger, and we always start up a little group chat between the cast. Yeah. And I've been really fortunate to work with Eds over the last couple of years, quite a few times.
I love working with you, darling. I remember the first time I worked with you, and it was like, I'm thinking, oh man, this is a big star we're working with. And I remember just you concentrating on your work. We're all in the room up at the Act 2. We're just about to do the scene where you're coming on.
It was Lohengrin, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was Lohengrin. And our director, she hadn't given what a director should do, which is know the music enough to know, and at this point you come on. And you were standing in the wings going, well, when do I come on? And then you came on, and I remember standing there thinking, wow, I love working with you. It's so much fun,
Likewise, Eds. I do recall that particular production, actually, because what was it? Were you the king in that, Eds?
Yes.
Were you? Yeah.
Yes. Yeah,
I remember everything.
And you're the princess.
Everything to me, and he was the king, and I had this slow walk on, and then I had to start to sing, Elsa's opening music, which is super tranquil and beautiful and idyllic, and I could not think of a better human to have on the stage than Eddie, because this was kind of like my big return to Melbourne. I hadn't been home for a billion years. I'd been overseas, and I'd come home at the last minute to do the Lohengrin. It was something that Ray had asked me to come and do, and it was a little last minute, and I thought, Lohengrin, it's not really my bag, but I'll come and do it. And I remember walking out onto the stage and being quite anxious, not because I was anxious about singing the part or the opera, but because it was my return to my hometown. And I felt so emotional about it. And I had to be, my character as Elsa was quite head down and quite subtle and all that, which is obviously me to a T, as you both know. Don't laugh so much, Adam. I'm very subtle. And I remember just walking up the path and feeling really anxious, and I just looked up at Eddie, and he just beamed at me. Eddie's literally the best human to have on stage when you're feeling anything, because he just so much warmth and gorgeousness, and I just looked at him and I thought, yeah, this is all good. This is what it's supposed to be.
I remember we worked together again, and you said, on my contracts, of an opera, I had the clause that Eddie's got to be in the show.
It's great. And this time you weren't. This last time you weren't. It was horrible. So there you go.
Adam, in that question of the preparation, right? So here's a great example of that, because we turn up to work for a rehearsal. And so using Elena as a example, when you came on stage in the rehearsal, you're coming on to be on trial and to speak of, your truth and everything. Yeah, you were like a Jedi. I remember you coming out in the rehearsal. I was thinking, wow, okay.
Was it the lightsaber?
Yeah, well, she was the lightsaber, man. She was. It's like, so there's so much as we all know as performers that we have to get into our bodies, into our minds, and the music and all that kind of stuff. For me, I have to start that the day before. I have to take in the either the 10 days of rehearsal or the 4 weeks of rehearsal in that day before. And to be truthful, we normally get 2 days off before a show. So after the general, the clock's ticking, But I'm always ready, pretty much generally with the song anyway.
Adam, do you have a set thing that you do before a show?
I've got ritual foods that I can and can't eat before I perform. I absolutely can't eat anything pickled because it makes me feel like I'm going to crack my high notes. I have to have a diet cola beverage. Tends to be because in my head I need a little bit of caffeine to keep me going. What else do I have? I like a chocolate aero bar which balances out the diet cola beverage. Yeah, because I like those two things because I feel like a Diet Coke or a Pepsi Max will strip the chords, but a mint aero bar will put a little bit of that phlegm back, just enough.
That's outrageous.
But again, that's the crazy stuff that I do before performances.
And as you said, you had a big breakfast. Do you have set foods that you like to eat, or just whatever?
If there's a buffet, it's the best. So if not, if it's like the full English breakfast, yeah, pretty much, yeah. Or I'll go down the road and the local greasy spoon, in Degrade.
And you were in Austria, is that right?
Yeah, I was in Innsbruck.
Yeah. So what was your go-to breakfast in Innsbruck then?
Oh, it was the same thing. But there I used to have this mad concoction of orange juice, Coke, and coffee.
I'm so there for that. It's one of my go-to coffee beverages. I have a long black with a splash of orange juice in it. It's got to be fresh orange juice. I love that.
Yeah, fresh orange juice. So there'll be a few places in Innsbruck that would have like an American breakfast, right? So you could get scrambled eggs and stuff like that. If not, you just go for the German breakfast, which is like cold meats and pack a load of cheese and all that kind of stuff. So I'm trying not to swear, actually.
That's all right. I can bleep you out. It's fine. This is the joy of producing a podcast. You can bleep out anything you want.
We're allowed. We're grown-ups.
Yeah, what it sound like Morse code if you have to edit out all my swearing,
Hey, so what took you over to Innsbruck?
I was doing a masterclass in 1999 in London with a guy called Victor Morris.
Oh gosh, yeah.
So Vic Morris used to run these summer schools down here in Australia, and I'd gone along in 97 to this thing, and that's when I first met him. And then I did this summer school in 98, and then he said, "There's a masterclass on in London. You should come up and sing." And the reason why he got me to come along to that, because he knew there was a high chance that I'd get hired by the person running the masterclass. That was his entire motive.
Wow.
That's amazing.
Because he told me after, and he said, yeah, Eddie, I knew that was going to happen. It was really, I knew that Brigitte Fassbender, he said that she would hire you when she heard you sing. And she did. So that's why I got to Innsbruck. So I got to London at Wigmore Hall. That's where the masterclass was. Man, I was backstage and I could see on the wall, had all these little pictures. The people that sung there, Caruso was there. I did actually think of nicking a couple of photos, I really did.
The Aussie loose.
Yeah, I was loose. I was thinking, man, no one would notice if I took this. And I thought, better not. There was a Sumi Jo, that famous singer.
Yeah.
Yeah, so she was practicing because she was doing a concert there at some point. So I came in through the front when everyone was told to go around the back. And there was this girl singing up there, and I came in, the rehearsal stops. And I just said, and she goes, "Hi." And I went, "Hi. Oh, sorry. And she goes, "That way." I walk in, open the door, and all the singers against the door like that. And then so I did the masterclass, and she asked me to come and sing in Innsbruck. The thing is, I didn't know, ignorance is bliss. Singing is something I came into not as my path for what I wanted to do goals wise. It was sport. And so going into singing was like, this is cool. So I didn't know who she was from a bar, so at all, and
I love that.
and also and I saw the program for the masterclass. You open it up, and you should have seen all the stuff on the people's names, Cardiff Singer of the World, blah 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 blah. And I'm not kidding. And my thing was this big. It was small. And it said he loves to sing and he plays rugby.
That's a good summary.
Speaking of rugby, Eddie, my very first professional opera was with you.
Oh, really?
Yeah, up in Canberra at Stopra when we were doing the Country Philosopher.
Yeah.
There was a scene that we have that has stayed with me forever because you have to chase me across the stage. And being a rugby player, you know how to tackle someone and take them down gently. And it got to, I don't know, about 3 shows in, and we had this thing down to a really fine art. And we were running across the stage and ducking in and out of pumpkins because the stage was littered with pumpkins. And you were chasing me across the stage, and I made the fatal mistake of looking back. And of course, when Eddie Muliaumasealii is coming at you, you run a little bit faster. And so I really took off. And of course, you did what you do. You tackled me and I went down hard and I hit the ground, and there was a stunned silence from the audience. And then all I could hear was a little whisper behind me going, "Oh, sorry, mate. Shouldn't have run." And I learned my lesson. Just don't look back at heads and don't run.
Well, dude, I've done a lot of shows with Melbourne Opera. Back Melbourne Opera 20 plus years ago that have multiple castings. So like, for instance, Don Giovanni, you could have like 4 Elviras. In this particular, we had 2 Giovannis, 1 left, but I was in Commendatore. But you'd get down to Frankston and you'd meet casts for the first time that you've never rehearsed with.
Oof.
Wow.
You never sung with. Yeah. So like, you're meeting people for the first time but they know all the blocking. And the blocking that I had was, because I've been working with Lucas de Jong and he was my Don. And then all of a sudden I've got Phil Calcagno being the Don. And so we had to work out the first scene when Commendatore, fights and gets killed and etc. Anyway, I said to Phil, okay, so you go, was in English, and he goes, "Prepare to die. I come running towards you. You duck this way. I come running at you. You duck that way. We circle. I charge you. And I land on the knife." Okay. So let's just practice that. And that's what we did. He said, "Prepare to die." I ran towards him. He ducked, ran towards him, ducked, ran, and then etc. Anyway, we get on stage, right? And the same thing happened to him as what happened to you. Because when we were rehearsing this downstairs, you got to remember, this is the show night. So audience are coming in. I'm just going, okay, I'm coming at you now. I'm coming at you. Here I come. Here I come. Now we're on stage. I was like, absolutely like full Māori haka almost. I was like, he went, "Prepare to die." And I was like, "Rah!" And I came running at him, and he hit his pants, man. He absolutely was terrified. And instead of trying to duck me, he took off. And I was going, "What the?" And I had to chase him. I was chasing him around the stage, and he was like running. He was terrified. And then I finally went, okay, he's running blindly. So I ran around the other way and I tackled him and I grabbed him. Then I had to grab the knife with his hand that I was holding the knife and stab myself. And then the guys carried me off. And then I'm downstairs. And then what happens is, Leporello Zaria comes on. He came downstairs and I said, "What the hell was that, man?" And he goes, "I thought you were going to kill me." It was absolutely terrible. He was shaking. I said, "Dude, what?"
It's called acting, darling. It's called acting. Yeah.
Acting.
Oh, so we got diverted there. So you were saying what took you to Innsbruck at the Tiroler Landestheater?
Yeah, Landestheater, yeah.
And so what were you doing over there? You were there for a few years.
Yeah, I'll go there. Fassbender was actually only just started there. I got there and I was doing Un ballo maschera and also Showboat.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, but in German, it was different. But
oh, I need to hear this now. Next time I put you in a concert, I need to hear you sing Old Man River in German. That would be phenomenal.
It was an amazing, that masterclass was quite amazing because the first thing I sang was from Das Wrangel, Wotan's farewell aria.
Oh, fantastic.
Right? And I sang that, right? And she goes, and the audience were like, "Yeah." And then she went, "Eddie." And I said, "Yep." And she goes, "You don't speak German, do you?" I said, "Nope." And she goes, "How did you learn this?" And I said, "CD."
Oh, I love it.
She said, "What about the German?" She says, "The CD book. I just did that." And she goes, okay, all right. She goes, well, first of all, we need to talk about your breathing, So she said, your voice is there. And we just talked about technique, And she goes, and then we did the last top F and it worked well. Next day was the catalog aria. And I thought, oh, I know this. Haha, I won the Maccas with this. So I sang that and each time, the second time she went, no. And I went, oh. And she goes, Eddie, this is, and she went through it with me because, she's like really into acting, that kind of stuff. And she goes, this is, Eddie, you're telling this woman the worst news ever. You're telling her that her husband has slept with many women, not just one, and you're giving her a list. What woman would stick around for that? You have to tell her this in a way that seduces her to just keep her there. This is bad news. How do you keep your challenges to? And then she goes, now I will be Elvira. And if I feel at once that you are mocking me or etc., you have to seduce me. And we did it. It was so much fun, right? And then I had a day off. And then the last day, was lead. And I didn't know any. I'd never sung any, right? So I got a book out and I was looking for the shortest. And there was 2 pages. There was 2 pages to this. This is a true story. And then I thought I better check out who this lady was. And then I went and asked around, and then friends of mine going, oh no, she's the queen of lead. She's one of the greatest singers of the 20th century in concert form, as well as who role in Cavalier. And she said, and I said, so she's like the captain of the All Blacks. And he goes, bigger than that. And then I thought to myself, I can't do this to her on my last day when it's the lead day, to learn something. And I learned it, I'm a really quick learner. So I said, I'm going to withdraw from the last day. And this is what got me my job, because Victor calls back and said, oh, she's so happy. She's never had anyone who has never done lead before. And this will be the best masterclass, she said. So I said, okay, fine. So, her funeral. So I turn up on the last day. Place is packed to the gunnels. And she gets the mic, she goes, and the last singer for the day is Eddie. And she goes, now, Eddie this is his first ever lead he's ever sung. And people were going, ooh. And he's chosen a really nice place to sing it, hasn't he? Or, yeah, whatever. And then she said he's also chosen the hardest, probably the hardest lead ever to sing. And it was the Doppelganger.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. But I said, okay. So I sang it, right? As much as I worked on that piece. And, I bought my game, and worked the words and understood and could see, the stranger standing outside the house and the moonlight in his face. Rah, rah. And at the end of that, she goes, yes. All week she's been going, no, no, no. And she said, yes. Exactly, Eddie. That's exactly how you sing.
Oh,
No
wow.
I said, yeah. Everyone else, man, was just like, flush, see ya. But she was like, for me, she went, yes, that's exactly how you do it. And I went to walk off. She goes, I want you to do it again this time. Let's make it harder. I want the words to come out of the pores of your skin this time. And I said, where is it at the moment? She goes, just below. She said, but below is enough. So yeah, and then they asked me would you like to come to Innsbruck and sing in a company? And I said, yeah, sure. And she said, we're doing ballo, we're doing showboat, and we're doing some modern works as well. I think your ballo will be great. We also have already someone doing showboat, but you'll be sharing the role with them. I said, yeah, cool. And then I get there and they tell me it's in German.
Right, that's helpful.
It's not, Helena, it wasn't like a word by word. I didn't sing Alta Man Fluss. I did sing Old Man River, but rather than translating Old Man River, he must know something, but don't say nothing. He just keeps rolling along. I was saying like a poetic version that they came up with. So they licensed with it to make it make sense.
Yeah, so you can't even know it word for word and try and put it into the language. It's a flowery version.
And how long did you have to learn it?
I arrived there. I had 3 weeks to do that role.
To put the entire role together in a foreign language. That's brutal.
It was. What was more brutal was the ballo. So I turned up already knowing that. But I was, it's a situation where you don't get to rehearse with anyone because you're arriving and their cast is
Of
set.
course,
So
yeah.
you're like a cover.
But the big question is, how many of them did you tackle?
One. What happened was because I remember I was rehearsing with the assistant director and the pianist who was Japanese, didn't speak English. The director spoke a little bit of English, the assistant AD. I watched all the rehearsals that I was there, and all I had to do was walk around in a room with tape.
Wow.
These are a staircase. There's you walk through that gap, and then all of a sudden you're on. And the night that I went on, I thought, now I've got walls and stairs and chorus around me, and I'm looking at people, and the music starts up. And my first thing I had to sing in that was the word "see," right? So the tenor goes, "We're going to go and see Ulrika. Come on, guys, come on, boys." My thing was I had to go like this, hit the table and go, "See." Anyway, man, I was so amped, man. I'm like, you got to imagine it, and the adrenaline there. I'm just thinking, get ready for this, get ready for this. The thing is, the tenor's singing and all the chorus are on, they're all asleep on these tables. And the only two that are listening are the two as count horn and ribbing. And we're like this watching and everyone else is asleep. And there was a chorus person actually asleep near where I was sitting. And so when the tenor had finished this big aria, I'm like this, waiting. He sings what he had to sing. And he goes to question, and all I had to do was go bang, and then see. But I was so amped up, man. When I hit that table, the plates went up, and the cup went up, and the noise was so massive that the person that was sleeping up near where I put my hand down, she was the chorus. She got scared. She shocked. She got up and she ran into the middle of the stage, ran past the tenor. She was like, ah! She ran back and she came running back again, like looking at me. And the tenor was laughing and he started singing and he goes, "Yeah, let's go to see Ulrika." And then he came up to me after and he goes, "You Australians are really funny." I'm sure, Helena, that you would, in your many times that you've had to stand by, and in a house as big as a Met or wherever, I would imagine that that kind of adrenaline is what you have to have.
Oh, 100%. It's the only thing that gets you through, and the only thing that doesn't make you either pass out or throw up. I think it's that adrenaline kicks in. Actually, my actual debut was Falstaff, and that was a planned debut, and it was super exciting. But because I was second cast, similar to what you're saying, and I only got to rehearse with the actual cast once, as we did a one room call, and other than that, I had my own cast to rehearse with, obviously.
Yeah.
But Falstaff, the Jonathan Carson Falstaff is, I don't know if either of you have seen it. It is probably my favorite opera production ever. It's just such a fabulous production. And Falstaff itself is such a great opera. But this particular production is just minute to minute of laughs and energy and everything going on. And, so, as you're saying, adrenaline, I remember standing there thinking, oh my God, this is my Met debut and I'm about to go on stage, and I've rehearsed it once. And with Umbrio Giorgio, who's like literally the world's leading Falstaff, and this killer cast and a fantastic conductor. I was so excited because when the Met offered me a debut, they offered me either Falstaff or Aida.
Wow.
And I was and one of my friends said to me, "Are you kidding me? You gave up the chance to sing Aida as your debut?" And I'm like, "Are you kidding me? I couldn't think of anything worse. Like, I'd much rather do a smaller role in a more kind of ensemble opera that still features me, but you can have fun and just get in there and enjoy it, rather than feel the wrath of singing Aida."
The name of the show.
Correct, like I did with Norma, of course, which I went on to do. But by then, it was a bit more experience. But the Falstaff, I was there, and it was just like such a phenomenal group of people. And they went, "Go get it!" And we were literally at these dining tables at the start of Falstaff, and we had actual food and everything on, and we were just laughing and eating. And the curtain came up, and da 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 da, and I just remember thinking, and now it's my curtain call, and I have no idea what just happened, because adrenaline just took me through the entire time, and I had such a great time, but it just was over within a blink because it was just, so much concentration and so much enjoyment the whole time. And we had
Yeah.
a live horse in that production and things like that. So as you said,
And it was that horse's debut as well.
well, I spoke to it. Yeah, it felt the same as me. We kind of bonded over the debut. But the thing is, as Ed was saying as well, when you're doing something like that, often you don't get to be on set. You don't get to, you don't get to, even if you're scheduled like I was at the Met. I'm very fortunate because the guys set everything up for you in the room, and you have rehearsal sets and all that. But I'd never been on the stage and done it. I'd never had a rehearsal on the stage. So here's me dealing with my Met debut. B, being on the stage for the first time, C, singing with the orchestra for the first time, D, doing, the show and then having live animals. But the best thing about a place like that is it's like a village backstage, and they just usher you, and they're fantastic. They're like, come on. And there's always people, and they're like, come on. And now you do a quick change here. Come on, Miss Dix. Yep, let's go. So that is a blessing. I feel very, very blessed.
That's great to have that support. I have to say, there's a thing that isn't taught at conservatoriums or coachings, or anywhere really. And that's exactly what you're talking about now. And that is that you're going into an unknown space that's already been created by other people. And your brain has to take in a voice that's coming at you.
Mm-hmm.
Voices of choruses, orchestra, etc. And then you have to connect to that truth and then do your truth, with that no one teaches you that. That is
Absolutely.
a huge lift, because it's like you've got everything together. You've got your voice together. You've got your languages together. You've got everything, your staging. But to be able to nail your truth with theirs no one teaches you that. You either get it or you don't.
So, Eddie, I've directed you. I remember, I think the last thing I worked with you on was the La Bohème, the opera in the park. And one thing that I loved that you brought to that production was you had a fully formed character in your head. So we were moving quite quickly through that rehearsal process, but I knew that I could trust you. And the questions you asked were fully formed. You knew what you wanted to do with the character. What work do you do to get to that point when you hit the room and you know what you want to do with that character? Because that Colline that you brought was everything that I'd wanted to see in a Colline. And I was fascinated with the depth and the detail you brought to something, despite getting a lot of very, very haphazard direction at times.
I think no matter what vision a designer or a director has that they bring into a production, there is it could be set in Weimar, it could be set on a Pacific island, it could be set anywhere. And there's a certain thing that a designer and director can go to a certain point called what they're wanting to get from their vision of the story. So you fit into that story. But you have to, like me personally, I have to work out what am I in this culture? What's the culture that I'm in here? Who am I? Who are the people? Who are my friends? What's my relationship with them? What's my relationship with the culture that we're doing it in? Okay, we're doing it in France. Okay, we're doing it in France. We're doing it in the Weimar Republic. It might be more dangerous because there's a Nazi element around, but you still have a relationship with the people that you are talking with. So when you arrive, when the audience are walking by, they're looking into something like, these people know each other. I'm eavesdropping into a story here. And, I'm not just a couple of people who are sounding really lovely. And I'm sure that's a part of it. But my idea is that I have to work out what are the pieces of the culture that I'm in. And that culture is so important. Just when I go see a show, an opera, I reckon it's one of the hardest things to get right. Because to get all those elements going, you've got your chorus who's a community. You have the soloists who come out of that community and they're just part of a community, it's like reading the news. This person here, and they come from here, rah, rah, rah. And then you've got to sing. Then you've got to sing, and it's like, oh yeah, apart from all the drama too and all that kind of stuff, then you've got to sing, and you've been aided to a certain point, depending on the composer. For that to be the point of that story. And then you're trying to get everyone else on that same kind of thing. Well, you might have some decide I'm going to stand here and do this. And then the whole thing's, or it is still okay and it's acceptable and it's great and it's a great night out. We get 5 stars. They sang well, this, etc. Blah, blah, blah. But you can get on opera and get all those elements right, man. You'd be dead leaving dead leaving the stage, dead watching it. Everyone just going, hey.
I'm conscious we've gone for quite a long time. I'm gonna put you on the spot, Eddie, and say, can we have you back for another episode down the track? Because we've got so many more questions. There's so many more things we'd love to pick your brain about. Are you up for another one of these chats a little bit down the track?
Absolutely, man. I mean, it's an honor, and it's I also love to see my friends. It's lovely, and it's good because it's funny because I don't really think about all this stuff until you ask me the questions, but it's like, oh, it's there. I could have gone.
It's nice to get it down. Nice to get it down for everyone to hear.
So at the end of these podcasts, when we have guests on, we like to ask them 5 rapid fire questions. Are you up for our big 5 questions?
Yeah. Like hot 5. Okay. So I've got to say yes, no.
You can just be a short answer. It can be a longer answer. It's entirely your choice. Helena, do you want to kick us off with the first one?
Eddie, can you juggle?
Yes.
There we go.
Woo-hoo.
Eddie, have you ever busked?
I sing for money on the street.
Yeah.
No.
If you weren't a performer, what job would be your ultimate love to do?
My first love was to be a policeman, actually, because I love the way they help people.
And then you could tackle everyone.
When I was a kid. It was like the cops used to come around to the schools when you were kids, and they'd tell you what they did, and they'd bring their dogs, and I used to think, what a nice thing, they're out there helping people, So either that or a teacher. I love teaching, I love being around and teaching things about our craft.
If you could perform a duet with anyone in the world, living or dead, who would it be?
Oh, it'd be Sarah.
So this is Sarah Sweeting.
My Sarah, yeah, Sarah Sweeting, yeah. And it'd be like a pop song she hates to sing.
I was going to say that's so lovely, except when you said what you wanted to do. Oh, I love it.
Yeah, she hates karaoke. I love it.
Eds, if you had to enter every room with a personal theme song, what would your personal theme song be for life?
Oh, gosh. There are 2. Sorry. So one of them is my favorite song. And another one is just like the song. So one of them is the Mary Tyler Moore thing.
Oh, yes.
Okay.
The first words to that is like, you can turn the world on with a smile. You can take a nothing day and suddenly make it all seem worthwhile. 'Cause it's you, girl, and you should know it. And whatever,
If you sing any more, we have to pay for the rights. So we're going to stop you there.
And then the other one is Raindrops Keep Falling on My Head.
Okay, well, and why is that?
Oh, because I saw the movie actually at the cinema as an underage kid of the Butch Cassidy and the Sundance Kid. And that song comes up in the middle and Paul Newman's riding his bike around and impressing a girl. But the words, I love the song because raindrops keep falling on my head. But that doesn't mean my eyes will soon be red. Crying's not for me because I ain't going to stop the rain by complaining because I did me some talking to the sun, said I didn't like the way you got things done, sleeping on the job. It's a positive song, yeah.
Yeah.
I love it.
Oh, fantastic.
And I have to ask this just because I have to, and it links into one of our earlier podcasts that we did where Adam gave me a lot of stick about this. Eddie, do you or have you ever eaten pizza with a knife and fork?
With a knife and fork?
I love how confused and concerned you look right now because that is lunacy, right? You're with me on this.
No, I can say I actually have.
Oh, no! No!
I have to say that 99.9% I've eaten it with my hands, but I actually have eaten it. I remember when you said that, I thought, I can actually see myself eating a pizza with that, yeah.
Because I eat pizza with a knife and fork and Adam's just giving me about it like forever. So.
Oh, you need, but that's a fresh pizza, right?
Oh, yeah.
Okay, so now you need to know why you had to use a knife and fork, because I think the pizza was about 2 days old.
So there's the caveat. It's got to be 2 days old, and then maybe you can justify a knife and fork.
I tried to eat it, but it was like doing this. I was like doing that, and that's like ripping my teeth out. So I used a knife, Man, I was broke, but there was this pizza in this box, and I went,
So you got to do
let's
what you
do
got to do.
Eddie, thank you so much for coming today. This has been just pure joy, pure joy. We really appreciate you coming in, and we're going to hold you to that promise now that you're going to come back and do another episode for us.
Thank you, Eddie.
Thank you very much. Good to
Thanks.
see you guys.
Take care. Bye.